Hello there. I'm going to talk about Jupiter retrograde, which began yesterday, and give you some ways that you can really harness the energies of greater prosperity, of greater hope, of greater connection to your innate wisdom that are really associated with Jupiter's energy. And we say retrograde motion is when the planet gets closer to the Earth, which is why we say we can feel its energies more strongly. And so this period started on the 10th, will go until the 4th of February, through this season of dissolution, of darker days in the northern hemisphere. And, Jupiter's name in Sanskrit is Guru, which means the remover of darkness. And Jupiter really has this, both from a scientific, astronomical perspective, it's considered to be one of the reasons why we can have life on Earth, because the gaseous state of its own atmosphere clears a lot of the debris in the cosmic atmosphere. And, in the mythology and in the understanding of the effects of this planet through observing it over time and its effects on people's, charts, and where it is for you, of course, will, indicate where it's going to have the most effect for you. It has this connection with creation, with prosperity, with really being the planet that safeguards the welfare of humanity, which it feels like, we could all do with a really good dose of that at the moment. So it's sort of coming in, it feels like sort of in perfect timing. This retrograde period for Jupiter will overlap with a portion of Saturn's final retrograde time. Saturn has been retrograde since June. Saturn is considered to be the great malefic. It's the planet that constricts us, whereas Jupiter is associated with expansion. Saturn slows us down. Jupiter is a slow-moving planet, so it doesn't necessarily counter that. But, and again, not to say all negative things about Saturn, because it does help us with discipline. It does help us take responsibility for things. But Jupiter just brings in that sense of there being optimism, right? It can really help us to feel a shoring up of a sense of faith in what it is we're supposed to be doing, to trust in the unfolding of things from a place of greater wisdom. Jupiter is considered to be the planet of teaching and of wisdom. Of course, that name Guru gets associated with that. But it's at a much deeper kind of eternal level to really understanding the truths of things. It combines with Mercury. Mercury has that connection with discernment, sometimes more from a sort of assimilating information point of view. But again, Mercury has a deeper level too. But Jupiter really helps us to, when we commit to, our practices, to getting really quiet and going to that place of understanding, from a very spiritual, very eternal place, the natural order of things, and understanding our innate wisdom and understanding ourselves better through that, mindset of faith and wisdom, really. So, how do we think about ways that we can access that energy, more? Of course, having an awareness of there being, we could say, a greater, support coming in at this time with those qualities, right? But we can also actively do things ourselves. So I'm going to talk through some ways you can do that. The first thing I would say is to have a real awareness of any negative narratives that are going on within you, whether you're in a loop of doubt or fear, whether you're hearing words like, I'm not good enough, or who am I to think I can do this, or why is this happening to me, to kind of just cut those off in a benevolent way, right? Jupiter is a planet of benevolence and generosity. So really cultivating a sort of generous listening ear to your inner dialogue and being like, okay, right, well, how about I say things like, I am trusting in the unfolding of my life instead of whatever's going on right now, or, I am growing my understanding of, myself, or a particular situation, or something that feels like an obstacle, to just really kind of, again, Jupiter helps us expand. It helps us just kind of let go of this sense of limitations that can really come from within. I'd also add to that that with that, you know, inner listening, that there can be a sort of questioning of what you're hearing inside. You know, if is something really a truth for you, or is it something that you've borrowed, or something that you've adopted or become conditioned to? And in those listening practices and being dedicated to your meditation practice, or however way you journal, or however way it comes out for you, that you can feel empowered to expand your own innate wisdom. Again, trust and faith. You know, Jupiter is the planet that is born of fire and faith, right? So there's a real kind of burning through anything that isn't true, anything that we can't really have faith in, to find your gurus, your own inner voice, which is your greatest guru, right? You may be finding your teachers. You know, if you're in a planetary period of Jupiter, you can really find a lot of your, you know, your important teachers, your beliefs in that time. So also being in that listening for that as well. And so you can add to that mantra if you want to kind of put aside all this sort of, you know, more mental activity. You can just come directly to mantra, either the one that I just suggested, you know, I am trusting in the unfolding of my life, or I'm growing an understanding of, or it can be the very powerful Sanskrit bija mantras. And the one I love at the moment is Shreem. Now, Shreem is one that also invokes the divine feminine energy, that is very nurturing, that is very much about prosperity. And, you know, there is a bit of a beautiful synchronicity with this at the moment, because we're just at the end of Navaratri, the 9 nights celebrating the divine feminine. Tomorrow is Vijaya Dashami, which is the day of victory, the 10th day of victory, right? Where the Devis, who in the mythology all came in their different forms to defeat the asuras, the demons. We could call that wayward energies, we could call that dissonance, we could call it regressive energy, anything that was against evolution, right? And the 10th day was that feeling of victory when, you know, Devi finally slayed those demons. And, you know, Jupiter shares that energy with the Great Mother, you know, the great, you know, Jupiter is a planet of children. And of course, we are all children of the earth, right? Of Great Mother Nature as well. So Shreem really encases all of that. And I love that. Just Om Shreem, 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 Shreem as a way to tune into that type of energy. Jupiter also has its own mantra, like Om Brahm is one, Om Gurave Namaha, and there are others, right, that are longer and can get more complex. But those are a few to give you an idea. Other things you can do. Thursday is Jupiter's day. You can wear yellow more than usual, and particularly on a Thursday, to really, you know, yellow and gold are Jupiter's colors. You could fast on a Thursday to really invoke or honor or really invite in that Jupiterian energy on a Thursday. If fasting is not good for you, we say in Ayurveda, be careful. If you are of a Vata constitution, maybe fasting is not going to work for you. Also, if you're a Pitta person, you know, if you get hangry easily, fasting may not work. But maybe it's a, you know, from morning until noon, you have a fast from speech. You know, that can be a really good one for Vata as well, because sometimes we talk a lot when we're in a Vata phase, or we're feeling an excess of Vata dosha, which can come more at this time of year too, by the way. So that can be an option. Other things we'd say, you know, being of service to others, especially children. You know, Jupiter, as I said, is a planet of children. And, you know, that can be your time, it can be money, but just being of service to maybe places, people, or helping children, your own children, you know, really emphasize that in this time. And then the last one I would just say is really nurture your spiritual practice. You know, whatever it is that helps you feel a more expansive energy to something beyond you, that connects you to other people, you know. And, you know, there are many different ways to do that. You can join me in my on-demand space this week. Particularly, we've got a practice that is really about, you know, feeling into that releasing of any limitations and really embodying that end of Navaratri, that divine feminine, that Jupiterian energy. So you can, you know, you can join me for that at any time. And, you know, these weekly practices can help you with your own practice, you know, your personal practice too. So I hope all those things are helpful. You know, sending you lots of love at this time. It's been an intense time going through the eclipses, the ancestor fortnight, you know, and it just feels like, yes, we need this energy. We want to lean into this more optimistic energy. You know, everything is not lost. You know, this is what Jupiter reminds us. There is always optimism, and this is not a way to bypass any of the difficulties that are going on in your personal life or collectively, but it is just to tap into that energy that can help you feel that there is always support, right? And you can find it within, and you can find it in people around you. So I urge you to think about enjoying some of those practices. I really hope that you can feel some of the support of this Jupiterian energy over this time. And I'm sending you lots of love, and I will see you soon. Take care.